Welcome to the Good Karma Sport Fishing Podcast. I'm your host, Captain Ryan Van Fleet. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So I'm recording this podcast Sunday morning, 8 o'clock. The weather has been kind of crappy this weekend, so I moved a lot of my charters around, and so the guys that were scheduled to book with me are rescheduling for later this summer because they're guys that have fished with me in the past, and they know I don't like to play around when it comes to fishing in crappy weather. So it's no fun for anybody and just not worth it. So it sucks not getting paid, but it is what it is. So it's the fishing guide business. So first I want to thank the guys that have been leaving me some really nice reviews on iTunes. I want to read a couple here this morning. The first one was written on May 10th. And it says the title is great listen, very informative. The review says, "Hey, I've been a loyal listener since I found the show. Great if you fish in South Florida or love the fish in general. Gives great reports and so much information to make you a better fisherman. Finally, someone consistently putting out great material." That is very cool. Thank you. That is why I do this podcast. So it is super nice to see people leave reviews for me. And I didn't solicit any reviews for that because I'm just not that type of person. But when somebody does something like that, it's like really does motivate me to put out some good stuff. The next one is from a client that has fished with me before. He said a couple boys fished with me, but I don't know which client it is. So be honest with you. The title is Captain Ryan, Real Deal. Love Captain Ryan. My boys and I have fished with him, and I've been listening to his podcast since the beginning. Great tips and great storytelling. Keep them coming, Captain. That's way cool. So that's a good way to start my day. It's very motivating to hear nice things nowadays, especially with all that's going on out there in the world. I had some major letdowns this week, but, things could be worse. I'm not really going to talk about them, but, whatever. It's just one of those things. So, but reading those two reviews really did fire me up for the podcast today, because I wasn't really too sure what type of information I was going to give out, because I was like, it's been a little kind of weird lately, and maybe I call it the COVID curse. So I've had some things happen with the boat, and my buddies have had things happen with their boats, and so I'm just calling it the COVID curse. So it's just bizarre, and when you're so in tune with Mother Nature that you start to feel things in the air and you start to feel things. And I'm like that. And I fish a lot by instinct, so I really am in tune with things. And a lot of people laugh about that, but I'm very successful because I have instincts to hunt. And that's just how life works when it comes to predator and prey relationships. Some of the best fishermen are avid hunters, big game hunters. They understand the water. They understand that they're out there to catch fish, and they know how to ambush fish. And it's an instinct. But I do want to talk about this phone call I got yesterday morning. I do have some boundaries, guys. I have some boundaries, and I got a phone call at I think 7 o'clock or 7:30 in the morning from someone asking me if I was going out today. And I said, no, I'm not going out. I said, it was early in the morning. And guys, if I haven't had my coffee, and I slept in for a change, I just want to have a smooth morning. So I thought it was a client calling, and I answered the phone. And the gentleman asked me if I was going out. I told him no. And then it proceeded on, can I ask you some questions? I was like, okay, I know where this is going. And I said, my response was, it depends on the questions. And he started laughing. And then he started asking about lures. And I was like, no. I asked the guy, I said, who? I started laughing. I go, who are you? And he still wouldn't. He says, well, I used to mate at Bud Mary's. Guys, everybody in South Florida that wanted to be a fisherman mated at Bud Mary's at one point in their life. So I'm like, I know 1,000 guys that have worked out of Bud Mary's. So, but I said to him, and how I left it was, number one, I'm not going to give anybody any information on the telephone. I'm just fishing intel. No. Okay? And I left it like this. You need to get into the Facebook group and you need to ask the question in there. Now I moderate the questions, okay? And in the group, it is okay to ask for like information and help. That's what the group is there for. If I can't help you, and then somebody else is, I really encourage other people that are in the group to chime in to help other anglers. That's what it's there for. So, but anyway, so I don't think the gentleman got into the group yesterday, and it's another thing, it's like if you call, just don't ask those type of questions. A lot of like guys, the only reason my phone number is out there is for my clients, okay? So people that are booking with me, so I'm really nice, and sometimes people try to take advantage of my kindness, and I really don't appreciate that. And I'm noticing that more and more and more now, so I'm very aware of it. So, and with the texts, it's okay, sometimes I'll get a client that'll like books with me and then they text me once. I'm okay with it, but I go to bed at like 9 o'clock at night, and sometimes earlier, sometimes 7. So at night I'm like, the texting is a personal space for me, and unless you're like a paid like charter or you are a personal consulting client, I can't give out any information via text. So it's just how I have to roll. I've got to set some boundaries there. I'm very open and honest, and that's why I do the podcast. I do believe in being myself, and sometimes that kind of stuff like texting is just not the way to go. I'm not a very good texter. I text back and forth with my buddies, and we just joke, and that's kind of it. And then with my bait guy, I ask what time you're going to be there. So I hope that kind of makes sense with things. I just have to draw some boundaries there, and that's it. So no big deal. It's just kind of weird. That's all. But it's like, just don't be calling me at 7 o'clock in the morning. Hey, Captain, where are the Dolphin at? And I'm going to say, you know where they're at 7 o'clock in the morning? I said, they're out in the deep water over your head. So yeah, oh my gosh. How far out are they? I'm going to make a t-shirt that says that with Baby Yoda with his how deep? Baby Yoda, how deep are they? Okay, speaking of how deep, where are the Dolphin at? I'm getting some texts. Seems like there's a lot of activity about people wanting to know where the Dolphin are at. Okay, starters. The fish this time of year, they like to be around 450 to 550 to 600. More south, I would focus down towards the Isla Mirada hump, Rips 409 hump. That seems to be where the fish like to congregate this time of year. But up in Key Largo, you do find them. There, it just depends on how the migrations and what time of day it is. But last year I focused, when I was dolphin fishing quite often, that's where the fish were at. That's where they're at right now. It was a little rough out there yesterday, but there were a lot of schoolies, a lot of them. So pretty easy fishing. You just got to find the birds, get on the dolphin, and you're gonna get your limits pretty quickly from what I've seen happening yesterday. Now, it was windy yesterday. Here's my advice to you guys. Don't get like the fish. If the wind's hard out of the southeast, the fish are going to be typically in pretty close, 500, 600. But what's going to happen tomorrow, it's Monday, the wind's going to lay out. So what you're going to see is you got to get out there right away in the morning, okay, to get on those fish that are still in close as the wind lays down. And then as the wind lays down, you need to start pushing out. And the depth that I would focus on is like 750. That's where I would focus on, 750 feet out to 850. And then if I don't like going out to 1,000 this time of year, I really don't. But if it's a calm day and I'm not having very good luck, I'll push out that far. But last year, and I think like this time of year, what I'm seeing is the fish are in between. They can be anywhere between 450 on kind of a snotty day, and then they're going to be in 750, 850. So you do have to burn a little gas to get out there. Now, a couple things. If you don't find them, then what's going to happen? You're on the backside of the moon. The backside of the moon can be really tricky. So really tricky. The fish, sometimes they act weird, and it's just about having the right stuff in the box. Do not go out there with any live bait on a full moon. Just I don't know how many times I have to stress this, because I've learned that the hard way on the backside of the moon. The fish can get really pokey, really like just kind of weird. And full moons are okay. They don't scare me away. It's just a matter of figuring out the feeding times and what they're eating. I prefer on a full moon to the pinks. The pink color witches tend to really get them fired up, and or pink colors like your pink billy baits, your pink sea witches. Those tend to really fire them up on a full moon. Make sure you guys got the squid with you on the full moon, because the squid like to really, the squid kind of migrate and spawn. The fish really feed on that kind of stuff on a moon. So I always have the squid on the full moon, no matter how much it costs, man. And the trick is with squid right now is that we've seen a decline in the squid fishery over the years, and what we're like seeing as far as quality. You need to get the really good white squid, and if you're buying the yellow box of, I think it's the yellow, I don't know, I call it the yellow box, but it's by I forget what company it is off the top of my brain. I don't like that yellow box squid. I prefer the white box Lunds. Yeah, it's a Lunds brand. The white box of Lunds, and you guys can get that at the Keys Fishery, at the Key Largo Fisheries. I would really avoid the yellow box. I would really avoid it. That brown squid, it's really big, it's ugly, and it just doesn't perform as well. So that's just a little tip for you. That's just me, guys. Now, if they're really hungry, they'll eat the crap out of it. But that yellow box of squid versus that white box Lunds, there is a difference in quality and the type of squid. Now, as far as the time of day goes, I personally, for me, when I like the dolphin fish on this moon, I don't really like to get out there until 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't push it because it's just not worth it. It's, for me, on this, like, for example, if I was going dolphin fishing tomorrow, here's what I would do. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't get rolling and get out there till I would leave the dock probably about 8, and then I'd just burn out and start looking for fish. And I would put lines in at like maybe 450, 500, and then start working out the 750, because it's going to be calm. And now, like you said, you can get those early morning fish, but I don't know. I'd focus on that 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock bite tomorrow, because that's probably when it's going to happen. So that's, according to my books last year on the same moon, that's what happened. And I was up north by Key Largo, and I really, really, really was struggling. So I wasn't seeing much, and it was rough out that morning, and my clients were like really pushy about going dolphin fishing. And I was not happy about it, but I went, and it was still rough, and even with the Seakeeper. But it finally started laying out. Of course, I get laid out, and it's like 7:50. I'm up north of Key Largo, and there's no fish. So I hit a Hail Mary, and I pulled everything, and I ran to the hump, inside the hump, and I found fish starting to come up at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and I found a really nice school of fish, but the only thing I could get them to go on was cigar minnows and sardines, and I was lucky enough to have those in my well, and we destroyed them. So they wouldn't eat the ballyhoo that day, and that happens. They just won't eat it. So you can pick up the cigars at Alligator Light. So you need to get there super early, because the charter fleet's going to be there. And I don't know if you've ever caught fish at Alligator Light bait, but it sucks. So prepare yourself with armor gear. So, because there's a lot of fighting. And it's just gotten really bad, because the bait fishing's been tough. Pilchards have been tough. So I would highly suggest that if you're going to be down for the week, that you kind of like strategize some time and go out and get some cigars, because they're going to be there usually like at Alligator Light. That's where the cigars are at. And Davis Reef, through that area, you can pinpoint. Just look for the birds, and you'll see them. And then look, if it's really calm, you can see the bait working on the surface. So you just bait fishing's like is really challenging, but this time during this moon, you guys really need to get that stuff pinned up. So I'm just saying, pinfish, they don't work as well for dolphin, but those little tiny jacks, man, they go absolutely insane for them. Now, a lot of guys don't talk about this, but for dolphin, if I can't get cigars or whatever, I really recommend that you guys get to the patches and get the baby blue runners. Okay? Get them. That's a fast bait. Those fish go nuts for those baby blue runners. They're really fast. Cigar minnows are like good for dolphin. Sardines are like the most amazing bait for dolphins I've ever seen. They'll fire up even the most finicky fish. But a small blue runner, a really fast one, that will get them fired up. If you can't get the pilchards, or I would avoid. I don't like to use live ballyhoo for dolphin because they're kind of slow. They're kind of slow on the surface. So, and I want a bait that's fired up and running around to get them moving. But that's kind of the deal with the dolphin fishing this week. Honestly, to sum it up, I would start looking for fish at about 450, and then from there I'd move out to 750. Go south of the hump. That's where they're going to be at. That's typically where they're at this time of year. Now, another thing is one of the reasons why I don't like to get out there too early is because the weed lines haven't formed up enough for me. So, but when I really started dolphin fishing hard, more towards the end of July, because some really big fish showed up around that time last year, and I'm praying that that the pattern's the same. I'll leave really early in the morning, get out there, and I'll have pilchards, and I'll hit those weed lines, and I'll get on the board really quick and then get those fish because they get really picky, and I'll get out there and get them with the pilchards first and get them in the box, and then I'll move on to like marlin fishing and looking for some bigger fish on the troll. So that's just kind of my strategy and how I do it. I have to be a little bit more strategic because I've got a single engine, and running around out there is just not an option for me. I do 100% troll. I don't run and gun. Also, too, the old Halco popper. Make sure you got that going out there. That will fire up a school, and it'll help you get a couple bites when they're really locked. Also, I want to give a shout out to my friend and rod builder Brandon Meltzer for catching his first big wahoo on his own on a planer, and I finally got old Brandon to switch over to the bait strips this year and try them out. So. And of course, he gets it on a blue and white sea witch that he made himself, and a bait strip, no wire, inline planer. Congratulations, man. It's just one of the many you're going to catch on that setup. So those bait strips tear up those dolphin too, man. You get 2 for 1. You're dolphin fishing, you can catch a wahoo on the pallets, man. I think you find some debris on those weed lines. So what Brandon's been doing is that he's been running inline planers on the deeper weed lines out 350 out to 900 feet up there, and that's where the wahoo have been. So they're still around. Now, I said in my Facebook group that they're going to bite this week. They're going to bite. There's a lot of schoolies out there. Now, every year it changes, but with the amount of schoolies that are out there right now, the wahoo are mixed in. And I would, for me, if I was trolling tomorrow and I would go early, I would fish until like 9, 10 o'clock for wahoo, and then I would start making my way out to the dolphin grounds, pull my wahoo baits. Now, if I find a solid weed line, I would be putting my planer down again. I'd be putting it down deep, because when you put a planer down deep on a weed line, and there appears to be no fish around but birds, that means the dolphin are deep. And what you're going to do is you're going to you're going to get one on your downrigger, and then the rest of the school is going to raise up, and you're going to be crushing them. So always have an inline planer ready along those weed lines, especially now between now and the end of the month, because the wahoo are going to be there. Now they're not going to be big. I consider a small wahoo like 30 pounds. So, but that's still a great fish, and I prefer to eat the smaller fish, to be honest with you. So, but the bigger ones make for great pictures. So if the dolphin aren't around or appear not to be around, put your inline planers down, get them down deep, put some ballyhoo on there, put a bait strip on one and put a rigged ballyhoo on the other. You don't need wire this time of year, but you got to make sure you're double rigged. So that's another thing that'll weed off getting cut off by by any wahoo down there. Just use a 60-pound to 80-pound fluoro setup. That'll help. And then double hook rig, double hook ballyhoo. You can buy the double hook ballyhoo and then double hook your bait strip as well. Now I had one more fish thing I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about tripletail. And tripletail. I love to catch tripletail. Really big tripletail, and they are challenging because it's one fish that brings me back that I can make a cast on, like bass fishing in the middle of the ocean. So the trick is that I really like to use white squid. A lot of guys are using shrimp. I go, you can't make a cast with that stuff, and they use ballyhoo for tripletail. Guys, what I use is a big number 8 inline circle hook, okay, with a squid. That's what I use, and that allows me to make long casts to the debris. Now the trick is you got to figure out which way the tripletail have figure out where the current's at. The fish are going to have their heads into the current, and you got to make a long cast to them. Now, when you get up to a piece of debris and there's a lot of fish around, like I call them shitfish, pardon me, but the trick is that all the shitfish are going to come to your engine. Now the tripletail are going to come off the log and come to the bubbles of the engine, but all the other shitfish are going to attack your engine first. So what that's going to do is that all those little fish are going to come to the engine. Okay. Now your tripletail are going to kind of lean back, and they're going to start coming in back of them. So basically what you're doing is you're decoying all those small shitfish up to your engine noise and bubbles. Now, when that happens, you got to have your best guy on the rod that can make a cast. Now, don't give the guy that can't make the cast, because you're only going to get a couple shots. And you need to put that squid off to the side of that tripletail's face. Don't hit him in the face. Fish don't like a suicidal bait. You got to make it look natural. And the reason why you have a squid is that it sinks really slow. Okay? Now, how many shrimp have you seen swimming? Big Gulf shrimp have you seen swimming in the ocean? Not many. A squid is a natural bait for those fish along the weed lines. Okay? They absolutely love them. Don't believe me? Good. Then don't. I'm just going to keep catching them. So, now, you got to make, one thing about a circle hook is that you can get it to be weedless, so you can throw right on top of all that junk, and and with that squid, you can work it across the weeds. Now, last year, I found a really big log. It had some monster tripletail on it, and what I did was I threw the squid right on top of the log. The tripletail can see that the tripletail came out of the water and pulled the squid off the log, and he jumped. It was epic. It was one of the most coolest things I've ever seen, okay? But that happens. They see that. That fish seen that squid on that log, and he came out of the water, and he ate that squid off the log. That is 100% truth. Now, like I said, the squid, the way it falls in the water, typically the fish is going to watch it, and he's going to go down after it as it's falling. It has an awesome fall rate. So if they're not really fired up and they're going to watch it a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're going to see them go down with the squid, and then you're going to, your line's going to start peeling off. So I give it a 1, 2, 3 count with my bail open. So when I make the cast, you got to have your bail open, you got to free line it, just like your yellowtail fishing or trying to catch permit on the wrecks. So again, have the white squid with you, and have a 6-foot rod that you're able to make a long cast with to get those tripletail, and a big circle hook, and it gets them every time. They're always going to eat it. I've never had a problem. I don't like to throw lures at tripletail. I don't like to throw poppers at them. Guys, I make the most out of my time when I'm out there. I know what works, and white squid crushes them. Now, I want you guys to go back into you guys can go back and cruise all my photos over the past and see the tripletail that I've caught. Those have been, every one of those fish were caught on white squid with a number 8 circle hook. And you can see how big they are. Those are all offshore fish that I found in like 750 out to 850 out to 1,000 foot of water on debris. Okay, so I got one more thing for you guys. Carry a jig rod now, this week, over the next couple weeks, for the Wahoo on the debris. If you find a pallet and you're by yourself or an old netting, you need to have a vertical jig with some flash on it, okay? With some holographic flash. That's going to get you the bites. Now, I like to rig my vertical jigs for offshore with titanium. I used to use number 7 wire, but it kinks and it doesn't really give the stretch I need for when I'm doing that. But when you find a bunch of schoolies on a pallet and you're all by yourself, you're not fighting with a boat, I would personally leave those schoolies alone, and I would get in there and I would start dropping those jigs for those Wahoo and get them, because you know that they're going to be there this time of year, as they always are. So that's just my advice to you guys. And I keep a small jig rod, and it's already done. I may not use it at all, but it's always rigged for the summer. I grab it when I go dolphin fishing, because I really want to catch those Wahoo on a jig. Because if you haven't caught a Wahoo on a jig, it's freaking addicting. Now, when the Wahoo hits a jig, you really got to drive that hook into him. So it's unlike when he runs off. You guys really got to start jamming the hook, and you can't give him any slack. You got to keep the line really tight. Have your gaff guy ready. As soon as that fish comes up, you got to take a stab at him. So I kind of covered a lot today, but I'm seeing a lot of guys post, and a lot of guys are going to be fishing here this week. So as far as, like, I talked about the dolphin thing, guys, you just really, every day is different when it comes to dolphin fishing. The best thing to do is get the information of where the fish are going to be, but you got to cover some water. And the best area to be in right now is from the Islamorada hump down to the 409 hump. And the Islamorada rips, in my opinion, is the absolute best area to fish for dolphin this time of year. I don't get down there too often because it's just it's quite a ways for me from Tavernier. But I would highly suggest that if you really want to catch them, that's the area that you focus on. Fish all day. Fish all day. Don't be out there for a couple hours and get bored and say there's no dolphin. That just doesn't cut it, because dolphin fishing isn't about it being easy all the time. You just got to put in your time. The best times this week are going to be 10 and 2. If you don't get them in the morning, you got to stick it out till 2, 3 o'clock, and then they'll start coming up later in the day. Last year at this time, oh my God, I was getting calls. Hey, Ryan, the dolphin popped up at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, you really don't know. It's just bizarre. It's just fishing in general. So, which is why it's so much fun. Because if it was easy, it wouldn't be fun. And I love the challenge of it. I know guys have a really short time frame to fish, but it looks like you're going to have some good weather, so you'll be able to put in your time out there. You get back, clean a few dolphin, save those skins and bellies, and then go out and sit in the channel down at Whale Harbor, Channel 5 Bridge, or downtown Islamorada. Catch a few big tarpon. Make the most out of your time, especially this week and the next couple of weeks, because the fishing's going to be really good offshore. Okay, guys, so I'm going to wrap it up. I gave you guys a lot of information and a lot of intel today as far as depths go. I just released my first course for sale. It's a download through my website. And it is how it's a video. It's like a 20-minute video about how I actually make the grouper bomb. Okay. I did not release all the ingredients that I use because I was protecting myself and my business. But I just released everything in a video. The video is $39. You can download it on my website, and you can play it on your phone. I don't recommend people download and on your phone and watch it. I recommend you use your home computer. But when I downloaded it, used my Android, it worked just fine. What I found was the download file went to my download gallery there, and then I just opened it up and played it. So I haven't had any problems with my Android phone or anything like that with the downloads or my home computer. And the other guys that have bought it, they said, hey, Ryan, everything's working just fine. We bought it. We really love it. I shared a lot of information in there. And if you're planning on coming to the Keys and you're really wanting to focus on chum balling in deep water or using that as a chum cloud to catch some big flag yellowtail or mangrove snappers love to catch big mangrove snappers, chum balls, man. It really covers up the line. It drives fish nuts. I should show you a video or some pictures that I did when I used to work on a commercial fishing boat years ago when we were chum balling for big mangs. It's crazy how many we caught. Crazy, because you got to remember there's no limits. Or the limit's really large as far as how many mangrove snappers you can keep on commercial boats. And we chum balled all day, and I was like, ever since then, I was like, oh man, this is fantastic. But anyway, so it's got some really cool stuff in the video. My next video is going to be, I'm going to show you guys how I make my double-rigged ballyhoo, and that's going to be for sale in the store. I'm working on a fishing spots one. I'm working on and some more detailed stuff. So the prices are going to vary based on the time and the amount of information that you're going to get. But that's the first video. You can like I said, you can download it there. It's going to really give you what you need to catch some big fish down here. Oh, I almost forgot. There should be Land Shark Outdoors is going to be releasing a video here any day. I fished with Victor and Brooke again on Monday. We fished all day, and it was kind of a struggle for me, but I ended up pulling it off in the end. I fought sharks. I fought no current. I fought a lot of different things, but in the end, I had a plan for everything, and we came out with a nice mess of fish for you guys to watch on the video. We caught one barely legal grouper, but we did get a grouper. The sharks were just ferocious. I'm praying that they've gone away, but I don't know. I guess I'll find out tomorrow. It's fun times, right? So watch for that video. Brooke and Victor are just great people. I really enjoy fishing with them, and they're extremely professional. They helped me on the boat. They worked. And these people understand fishing as far as YouTubers go. So I really recommend their channel. And I look forward to working with them in the future. That's all. Follow me on Instagram, Good Karma Sportfishing _FL _Keys. Check out my website once in a while, www.goodkarmasportfishing.com. And watch for the new videos for sale at www.goodkarmafishingtackle.com. That's it. Leave those small schoolies for the boat behind you. Get some big ones this week. And remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good.